All right, so what I'd like to do is do a comparison and contrast of 6.4 and 6.5, which are a very similar type of problem where you're either adding or subtracting, and 6.7 where you're solving. Okay, so take a look at these two different problems right here. I'm going to work this first one first, where we are subtracting. Notice how, in this problem, there's no equal sign, right? So that what I'm going to do when I go to do this problem is identify, first of all, the LCM, and then I'm going to make everything look like the LCM. All the denominators have the same LCM so that I can get a common denominator. Okay, that's different than this problem. Notice that this problem has an equal sign in it. Directions say solve. So I'm doing something different here. I'm still going to start by identifying the LCM in this problem, but then I'm going to actually use the LCM to clear the fraction. Okay, so let's start with this first one first. So in order to identify the LCM here, I would want to factor everything fully, everything in the denominator. So this is going to become, LCM here is going to become, hello, why is it not recording? Okay, is it recording now? I'm having problems with my, I guess it's recording. I guess we'll see. All right, anyways, LCM here is going to be an x minus 4 and times an x plus 4. All right, so my goal is to make all of these denominators look like that. Okay, and so I'm going to figure out what's missing, and I'm going to multiply top and bottom by what's missing. All right, so this first fraction right here is missing the x minus 4, so that's going to get multiplied by an x minus 4 top and bottom. Second fraction is missing the x plus 4, so I'm going to multiply top and bottom by x plus 4. And this third fraction is missing nothing, so it gets multiplied by nothing. Okay, so it's going to look like this. X over the x plus 4 is going to get multiplied by an x minus 4 in the top and the bottom. Okay, so effectively, I'm just multiplying by the equivalent of 1, which doesn't change the problem, just manipulates how it looks. Second fraction is going to get multiplied by an x plus 4 in the top and the bottom. And notice that this is giving me a common denominator here by doing this. Okay, third fraction here doesn't need to get multiplied by anything because it already has the common denominator. All right. Okay, so now that I have a common denominator, I can actually bring the numerators together. This is going to be x times x minus 4 times x plus 4. And this is actually minus this whole quantity here, x squared plus 16. And I need to put that quantity into parentheses so that I will remember to distribute the negative. Okay, I want to collect like terms in the top now. So this becomes x squared minus 4x. Well, I'm going to collect like terms after I distribute. So distribute the x, distribute the negative 4, distribute the negative 1. So this is negative 4x minus 16. And then negative x squared minus 16. Okay, that's all over common denominator. All right. Collect like terms in the top now. X squared minus x squared adds to be 0. We've got a negative 4x. A negative 4x is a negative 8x. And then negative 16 is negative 32. And actually, that will go one step further because you can see in the top that there's a common factor of an 8. And because the leading term is negative, I'm actually going to pull out a negative 8. And I'll be left with an x plus 4. Which will cancel with the x plus 4 factor in the bottom. So then I'm left with a negative 8 over the x minus 4. Okay, so that's your answer in this problem. Just make sure that you notice what we're doing with the LCM is using it as a common denominator in the problem. Okay, that's very different than when we're solving. The first step is exactly the same. Oops, this is supposed to be x squared minus 16. Sorry about that. X squared minus 16. what we're doing, first step is exactly the same. We're going to factor everything and identify the LCM. And it's the same LCM as in the last problem. It's an x minus 4 and an x plus 4. Now, this is where it starts to differ, though, because I'm solving and I have an equal sign. What I'm actually going to do, instead of looking for what's missing, and multiplying top and bottom by what's missing, instead I'm going to actually multiply everything in the problem by this LCM. LCM is actually the LCD here, least common denominator. And what that's going to do is it's actually going to clear the fraction for me. Okay, so it's going to look like this. Take the first term, x over the x plus 4, and multiply it by the LCD, or the LCM. Same thing here. Take the second term, do the same thing. You actually want to write all of this out. It's going to be a little bit cramped here. And then equal to the x squared plus 16 on this side. Also gets multiplied by x minus 4 and x plus 4, and that's really cramped. You can't even really see that. That's supposed to be an x minus 4 and an x plus 4. Okay, so now we can cancel, because as you can see, this x plus 4 factor is the same as that x plus 4 factor. So then what I'm left with here is an x times an x minus 4. Notice that the fraction's gone, right? X minus 4's cancel there. Minus 4 times this quantity x plus 4. And then on the other side, both of these will cancel. So you're just left with x squared plus 16. Okay, now obviously the difference between this problem and this problem at this point is that this problem no longer has a denominator. That's because it has an equal sign in it. So we've cleared the denominator, and we're actually going to solve for x being some kind of a number. All right, let's take the x and distribute here. So we get x squared minus 4x. Take the negative 4 and distribute. We get negative 4x minus 16. And then x squared plus 16 on the other side. Collect like terms on this side. X squared minus 8x minus 16 equaling x squared plus 16. Now this is a quadratic, so I want to set it to 0. Okay, so I'm going to take this x squared and this 16 and subtract them. Oops. This x squared and this 16, subtract them and take them to the other side. Okay. All right, so we end up getting negative 8x minus 32 equaling 0. Notice that the x squared went away, so it's no longer a quadratic. It's actually now just something that's linear, and we can solve that by adding 32 to the other side. We get a negative 8x equals positive 32, and then when I divide by a negative 8, I'm going to get x equals a negative 4. Now before I can call that a solution, I need to check it. If this gives me 0 in a denominator of my original problem, then it's not going to be an answer. So if I take a negative 4 back up here and I check it, do you see that negative 4, when I plug it back into this denominator right here, it would give me negative 4 plus 4, which is actually 0. Okay, that means that this answer is not a solution, because 0 dividing by 0 is undefined. Okay, and since there are actually no other answers in the problem, and this answer doesn't work, there's actually no solution to this problem. So that's a valid answer. Okay, so just make sure that if you're having problems with this, watch this video a couple of times. Notice the comparison and contrast of how these problems are similar but different.